In the contemporary landscape of blockchain technology, where a multitude of platforms strive to offer a balance between scalability, security, and decentralization, the Transformers public blockchain emerges with unique terminological advantages. Specifically, its approach to managing inflation, total supply, and stake yields presents a compelling and economically sound framework which could be seen as advantageous over other blockchain networks such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Avalanche, Polkadot, Cosmos, Flow, and Solana. In this article, we will delve into these advantages, analyzing how Transformers terminologies translate into a robust economic model. Advantage 1. Dynamic inflation control. One of the most striking advantages in Transformers' economic model is the dynamic control of inflation. Whereas Bitcoin operates on a hard-coded schedule that slashes rewards every 4 years, a method unaffected by the network's actual economic conditions, Transformers implements an inflation time cycle which is responsive in real time. The Transformers chain adjusts the inflation rate annually by 12% of the maximum initial inflation rate, ensuring a more adaptive supply increase that can flexibly respond to the network's growth and stability needs. This optimization of inflation rates exemplifies adaptability that is paramount for a system's longevity and health, as it steers away from the rigidity found in many of its contemporaries. Advantage 2. Stake-driven economical model. Transformers blockchain institutes a stake yield which is reflective of the network's real-time dynamics. This yield computation model aligns the interests of stakers with the overall health of the network, incentivizing participation and securing the network in the process. Unlike Ethereum, which does not have a fixed supply cap and thus potentially exposes the network to persistent inflation, or Cardano and Solana, which follow a set schedule, the stake yield in Transformers is an indication of how rewards can motivate behavior beneficial to the ecosystem's robustness. The equation for the current stake yield, featuring the current inflation rate and stake rate, not only encourages transparency but also demonstrates the direct influence of stakeholders on the blockchain's economy. Advantage 3. Indefinite and regulated supply without a hard cap. While many blockchain networks enforce a supply cap to instill scarcity, a la Bitcoin's 21 million limit, Transformers has chosen not to set an absolute cap on the total supply of TOS. Instead, it opts for a regulating mechanism dependent on inflation output and destructive events. This absence of a hard cap, yet with a vigilant inflation control mechanism, plays to Transformers' advantage. It allows for a flexible economic policy that can adapt over time based on the network's changing requirements without the limitations imposed by a fixed upper supply limit. Advantage 4. Flexibility in adjusting to market liquidity requirements. Market liquidity is a key consideration for any cryptocurrency, and Transformers acknowledges this through a delicately balanced mechanism. The inflation rate of TOS is designed to accommodate the projected increase in market demand by releasing certain shares of the stake. This approach may offer a more agile response to liquidity requirements compared to networks like Avalanche, which, despite having a variable inflation rate, do not explicitly articulate the relationship between stake dynamics and liquidity provisions. Advantage 5. Forward-looking economic change indicators. Transformers has formulated economic change indicators which are not mere static parameters but are forward-looking, aiming to stimulate network construction and anticipate future market developments. The pre-calculated initial set point for inflation not only makes stakes appealing but also paves the way for a gradual transition to a stable economic state. This visionary approach can offer more stability compared to networks like Flow, where ecosystem development heavily influences inflation, potentially leading to unpredictable fluctuations. Advantage 6. Proactive approach to long-term stability. The long-term economic stability of the Transformers blockchain is supervised through preset indicators including the initial inflation rate, time deflation ratio, stake deflation ratio, and the long-term inflation rate. This proactive approach clearly distinguishes it from ecosystems like Polkadot, which has a targeted yearly inflation without a clear roadmap for eventual stability, or Cosmos, where inflation adjustments are reactive to staking ratios without a predetermined long-term route. Transformers economic change indicators. The Transformers inflation rate has many factors to consider. We need to design an initially reasonable numerical value for it. That is, meet the kinetic energy needed to stimulate the network construction. Meanwhile, needs a reasonable estimate of the additional share for the next 15 or 20 years. The initial set point for inflation needs to make the trusters and verifiers more interested in the network and can be stable and long-term survival in the network. As time progressed, the network will enter a steady state. The requirement for sustained momentum will be gradually reduced, then with time, the transformation's inflation rate will gradually shrink to a long-term stable value. We predict that the demand for TOS will gradually increase along with ecological development. With the increasing stake ratio, the market demand will be an imbalance and needs to release a certain share of the stake to meet the market liquidity, then the inflation rate should be gradually reduced to the long-term stable values. So, the inflation rate of transformers will be determined by the time period and the stake rate. So, based on the above considerations and sampling calculation, we will determine 4 indicators. Initial inflation rate, 7.7% time deflation ratio, minus 12%. The initial inflation decreases by 12% a year. Stake deflation ratio, minus 1.35%. Inflation reduces 1.35% of the initial inflation for every 1% increase. Long-term inflation rate: 2%. Summary: the Transformers public blockchain, through its sophisticated and flexible terminological framework, offers a robust economic model that addresses several limitations faced by other blockchains. Its approach presents the capacity to effectively manage inflation, seamlessly handle changes in market liquidity, and incentivize user participation, creating a mutable yet stable economic environment. This distinct assembly of features highlights a thoughtful integration of dynamism and stability, sustainability and growth, potentially positioning Transformers as an advanced contender in the blockchain sphere for various applications. The unique interplay between total supply, circulation supply, inflation control, stake yields, and economic change indicators stands as a testament to the innovative evolution of blockchain economic models, paving the way for a more adaptive, responsive, and long-term viable blockchain ecosystem.